Don't take it for granted that God continues to bless us with new days, new mercy, and new grace on a regular basis. And wherever you are, I want you to realize you are tuned in to the right place. You got it. You are on the New Birth platform. Our senior pastor, Dr. Jamal Bryant, believes in allowing us to not just inspire you on a Sunday morning, but every day of the week. And we're grateful. I'm your pastor of Internet and Innovation, Kervance, and we are so thankful that you've tuned in for this 15 minutes of daily inspiration. Wherever you are, if you're on Facebook, we salute you. We thank you. We're grateful for you. Take a minute and tag a few people. Put that @ sign there, put their initial, type their name in, and whatever name comes up, tag them. On top of that, share and text a few people. If you're on YouTube, we're glad to see you. Share the link with the last 5 to 10 people in your phone and let them know that 15 minutes of daily inspiration has begun. And if you're on our New Birth website or wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. Let's get to work. If you would, download the New Birth app. Make sure you stay connected with us. Subscribe and like the pages wherever you are. And if you wouldn't mind, wherever you are on social media, if you'd follow me at I am Kervance, I'll follow you back. It's that time. I hope you're ready to be inspired. I'm ready to inspire you. Let's get ready to do it. We're talking about faith and expectations. And we want to keep in that vein of faith and expectation by going to the book of James, James chapter 1. Verses 2 through 4. James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. And it reads, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptation, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." Brothers and sisters, count it all joy every time you fall into various temptations. Know this, that the trying of your faith is working patience. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may know the perfect and entire dynamic of your faith, and that you are left wanting nothing. And for a few minutes that I've been allotted, I'm calling this segment of inspiration, I've got to make some adjustments. I've got to make some adjustments. I know some of you are looking at me going, I've got to do it too, preacher. We're all in the same boat. I've got to make some adjustments. When I thought about this right before we got started, one of our production directors was talking about, I'm a home team guy. I'm from Atlanta, as you all know, and he encouraged me through a bit of sarcasm to tell me about my team, the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm in a bad space because I'm a Falcons fan to the day that I die. And unfortunately, week 2, we were playing the Dallas Cowboys. My team got up by 20 points in the first quarter. And I don't like how you're looking at me through the lens of social media. God is not going to bless you with that perspective of negativity. And we were up by 20. I know it. I've heard it. We've had this happen before. We had it happen in the Super Bowl. It just hurts me to even say it out loud. We did a good job in the second quarter. In the third quarter, Cowboys started making a comeback, and we maintained. In the fourth quarter, stuff started going awry. And even at the end of the game, with about 36 seconds left, I'm about to shed a tear just saying this to you. There was an onside kick. You don't even have to be a football aficionado or expert. This is a play that gives the visiting team or the opposing team a chance to get the ball back. It's not likely that they're going to get the ball back because the ball has to roll 10 yards. The key here is in that 10 yards, as the receiving team, you can pick the ball up and stop it, and the game will be over. And I realized that this can't go down like this. The Lord loves me a little bit better than this. He loves the city of Atlanta. And to my chagrin, they watched the ball roll 10 yards, and the Cowboys recovered. And saddened, frustrated, angered, using 4-letter words that were not Mark, Luke, or John. I got frustrated and watched my team lose the second game of the year. And in my mind, going upstairs to my house, throwing off my Falcons t-shirt, getting frustrated, I said, we've got to make some adjustments. We got to do something different than we've done it before. We've got to make some formulas that help us win on a more consistent basis and change the circumstance of what's going on. And as you may be a Cowboys fan, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, whatever the dynamic is, you have to attest and agree that the Falcons have to make some adjustments. And it's not stuck on my team, because on the team of life and in the circumstances of our own situations, many of us have been forced to make adjustments. Because as we've been playing this game, as we've been going through this quarter of life, we've seen God get us all the way through January. We've seen him get us through February. When March came, who would have known that a pandemic and an outbreak all over the world would put us in a situation and a circumstance where things would start going awry? And lo and behold, we are now finding ourselves in the fourth quarter of the year, realizing that situations are shifting, they are changing, and your faith, your expectation, your situation, and your circumstance has you in the position where you got to make some changes. You've got to adjust. You've got to move in a different direction, and you realize without doubt that I've got to do something different. And here in this passage, James tells us in a very unusual way, you've got to learn how to count. I couldn't even make it any further than the third word. He says, my brothers, my sisters, count. I have to be transparent with you. In high school, in elementary school, I was not a good math student. I can count money, but when it came down to math, I had struggles. I got anxiety. I got frustrated. I was good in history. I was good in music. I was good in science, but math caused me some issues. And James stopped me up at the front door of James chapter 1. He said, you got to learn how to count. Got to find yourself in the circumstance that if you can do the basic math of life, you'll see your faith being increased. And I want to highlight for you what James was trying to show us when it came down to the math of our faith and our expectations. He said, my brethren, count it all. You can stop right there. Count it all. He was showing us that the first thing we got to learn how to do is add. I'll say it again. You've got to learn how to add. You've got to add it all up. Because patience plus strength equals endurance. Use that formula again. Patience plus strength equals endurance. You have to figure out and realize that everything you've gone through has caused a plus in your life. This is the reality that, and we know in the book of Romans, that all things work together. It's not just the good stuff in your life that's working. Sometimes there are negatives in your life that work. Sometimes the positives and the negatives added up to a plus. You've got to count it all. You got to count the good days. You've got to count the bad days. You've got to count the bad relationships. You've got to count the bad decisions. You've got to count the good moves you made. You got to count the bad moves you made. You've got to realize that in the math of life, it all worked together to increase your faith. And many of us want to take away the negatives and only highlight the positives, but it's not hard doing life through faith when everything is going well. I said it's not hard operating and believing in God when he's answering all of your prayers and you got money in the bank and your family is doing well and there are no struggles. I'll be honest with you, I've never seen anybody climb a smooth mountain. What made mountain climbing rough and a challenge is that it was an obstacle. There were some hard spots on the mountain. You got to pull up here and you've got to step up here and you may fall. You may lose your balance. You may lose your footing, but it all works out. And James says up front, you've got to learn how to add. You've got to add it all up and realize as long as God is with me, I'm watching him work it out in my favor and on my behalf. And I believe a few of you can testify. I'm counting it all. I'm not leaving none of it out. I'm not excluding any of it. I'm learning how to add. But number two, not only do you need addition, but secondly, you need subtraction. James says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall. This is a detriment. This is a step back. This is a negative. When you subtract these dynamics, you realize that some of the things that have to fall away are immaturity. Say it again. Some things that you've got to subtract from your life are immaturity. You realize that there are moments where you have not been mature enough to learn the lessons of your fall. You saw yourself in various circumstances and various temptations. Temptations here being trials. There have been various moments where you were too immature to learn the lesson. You got in situations where you should have been mature enough to walk away, should have been mature enough to say no to this situation, should have been mature enough not to spend the money here, should have been mature enough not to get connected to him or not be in a relationship with her. But because of immaturity, you now find yourself in a position where you've got to subtract some stuff. You got to take some things away. You got to delete some people. You've got to delete some situations. You have to delete some circumstances because you start to realize that for God's will to be done concerning you, you've got to be cheerful no matter what, but realizing that what God is trying to do is get you in a place where he can get you closer by taking some stuff away. And I think about it. Some moments in my life, I'm grateful he took some folk away. I'm grateful he took some circumstances away. I'm grateful he took some headaches away. And even truthfully, I'm glad he took some people away. Sometimes grandmama had to die. It wasn't that I'm not sorrowful. It's not that I don't miss her. But when he took her away, some blessings came in my life. She went down, but he blessed me up. And some subtractions have been beneficial to you. And you've got to be grateful. Not only do you have to learn how to add, number two, you've got to learn how to subtract. But James tells us you've got to learn how to multiply. He says, my brethren, count it all joy, even when you fall into divers temptation, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. This is a multiplication. You've got to watch it double up because what he's multiplying in your life is faith that ultimately comes out to patience. So what you're learning is every time you're going through these circumstances that force you to be patient, he's multiplying your faith. Sometimes you got to learn how to wait your turn, wait your time. You don't want a blessing that's in the wrong time that you don't have the patience to wait for. You got to realize that God is trying to multiply your faith. You've got to step back sometimes and say, work on me, God. Help me to be patient. Help me to be enduring. Help me to step back and understand that you're multiplying my faith. And is there anybody that'll testify? Sometimes God made me learn how to wait so that I can have increased faith, and he multiplied it through the wait. Oh, I'm out of your way. We've learned about addition. We've learned about subtraction. We've learned about multiplication. But the final one is division. James says, my brethren, count it all joy, even when you fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her work. You may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. You have to realize that sometimes the failures in life put you in a position that he had to make some divisions to allow you to see the sum total of him in your life. You got to know that when you're under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. Let me help you understand. I told you I wasn't good at math. But I remember if you really wanted to get to the answer to the division, you put the number on the inside of the bracket, you put a number on the outside, and whatever number was on the inside, if you wanted to know how many of the number on the outside were on the inside of the number in the bracket, you simply break it in half, and all of a sudden, the answer pops to the top. If you wanted to know how many threes were in 9, if you just break it in half, you realize that there were 3 threes, and all of a sudden, the answer would rise to the top. And it's just like God. In your faith journey, whatever your problem is on the outside, keep yourself there and watch it break in half and watch the answer in Christ rise to the top. He's dividing circumstances. He's dividing situations, only so that you can see him as the answer. And when you're getting done, you realize I've made some adjustments. My faith has been increased. My expectations are high. But because of adjustments, I'm going to win this game. And God is going to get the glory in the end. I'm out of my time. I'm so grateful for yours. If you realize you've got to make some adjustments, you're not going to be like my Falcons. Keep praying for them. If you know that you're going to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and watch God rise to the top, do so by committing not just your words, but putting your resources and your gifts where your mouth is. God loves a cheerful giver, and God gives seed to the sower. Right now, the prompts are on the screen. I've watched God do so many amazing things when I gave my tithe, my offering, and my expression of giving to him. Stop now, pull out your device, and support and partner with us by sowing seeds in the kingdom here at New Birth. On top of that, we don't want you to just be a faithful follower from a distance. We want you to be a friend moving to family close up. We want you to be a member here. We want you to be connected to what God is doing here at New Birth. If you would go to joinnewbirth.org, and right now you can become family. We're waiting on you. And if you need prayer as you make these adjustments, if you just email us at prayer@newbirth.org, and we have intercessors, prayer warriors, waiting right now to intercede and pray with you. We thank you so much for always joining us, for supporting us. Follow us on all our pages. Keep sharing, keep tagging, keep texting. Download the app, and know in your journey, your faith is being increased because you're making adjustments. I'm your pastor of Internet and Innovation, Kervance Ross. I love you to death, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Have a drama-free, virus-free remainder of the day, and I'll see you when I see you.
Once again, New Birth, it's time for your video announcements. Each and every week, the King's Table continues to bless families all over this city. That's right, free groceries for anyone from 10 until 12 noon. Each and every Saturday at the Bell Family Life Center. Just pull up and be blessed. Everyone is welcome at the King's Table. And we want you to log on to newbirth.org and visit our online store. There you can get the book of the month, the New Birth Mask, and all your ministry needs. And while you're at newbirth.org, check out our newsletter. It's lots of helpful information. Log on today. Newbirth.org. Coronavirus disease 2019, referred to as COVID-19, has evolved from an isolated disease in a region in China to a global pandemic that has brought countries to a standstill, pushed hospital systems to the brink, and dragged the global economy into a recession like we've never seen before. These are trying times. With the U.S. death toll over 200,000, poor national leadership, and marching in the streets protesting injustices against people of color, it looks as if there is no hope in sight. Oh, but there is hope in sight, and God has sent his mighty word through the mouth of Dr. Jamal Bryant. From midwife crisis to adjust, to prospering in a pandemic, to making the top 10. These are all sermon series that you need to add to your personal library. You will be encouraged, empowered, and strengthened in this pandemic time in history. Visit calltoconquer.com to get your copies today. And we want you to mark your calendars for Tuesday, October 20th through Thursday, October 22nd. That's right, it's our Vaccination Revival, Curing Stagnation, nightly at 7:30 p.m. Don't miss Dr. Jerome Glenn.
But you represent the church wherever you go.
Pastor Darius Nixon.
Although I was in his mouth, you did not get me as prey to his teeth.
And Pastor Tolan Morgan.
God often calls you at a time when your life
is a complete contradiction to your revelation.
Also, special musical guests is Jacqueline Carr, Stout, and Miranda Curtis. October 20th through the 22nd, nightly online. Don't miss it. And that's gonna do it for today's video announcements.